Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Friday Coffee Talks. I'm your host, Connor Volpe. We are here talking over coffee on Friday. I've got a wonderful cup right here. Using the Roy Kent mug. Dug this one out of the back of the cabinet today. Had to. It's one of the best mugs of all time. Also have to shout out Chobani. I didn't even know they made coffee creamer, but I saw this one and it is incredible. What is it? Cinnamon coffee cake. Normally flavored coffee creamers, like I've tried them here and there in the past, they always end up tasting like chemically or processed in my coffee. But maybe I've just been buying the wrong one because this one is phenomenal. Normally I'm just like a milk, maybe some cream guy in my coffee. Splash not too much. But this Chobani coffee creamer, amazing. Really, really good. Shout out. So been a couple weeks since I've been on. I'm glad to be back. I've got a couple things that I want to talk about today. Let's jump right into it. First thing first, the baseball season. I have a conspiracy theory I'm going to share with you. Let's step back. The story of the year so far in Major League Baseball is, I guess one could argue that it's torn UCLs and Tommy John surgeries for big time pitchers, including Spencer Strider for the Braves, which is a bummer. But I would say the story of the year so far is missed calls on balls and strikes, poor umpiring behind home plate. Everywhere you look, it's being talked about. And I think in a lot of places, it's really comes down to Angel Hernandez. He's kind of the culprit that people narrow in on because he's been legendarily bad, like really horrible. I saw a video a few weeks ago of Juan Soto getting a 7-pitch at bat, never swinging at a pitch and striking out, even though every single pitch, he didn't get a single pitch over the plate. 7 pitches, all balls, and he got struck out because of poor umpiring. That's terrible. But that's just one example. It's been, rampant this year in Major League Baseball. And it's like every day you see something else on social media or on ESPN about just like really, really, really bad strike zones. And I think my hot take, my conspiracy theory is that that's on purpose. For a long time, the MLB and the team owners have been at odds with the MLB Players Association, the union, the players union, over the rules of the game. That's been a pretty constant struggle over the last, forever basically, but especially so over the last 10 years. As they've gone through the collective bargaining agreements, there's been lockouts, there's been, just all this craziness. The lockout was a couple years ago, arguing over shared revenues and stuff like that. But it always seems like it's coming down to the team owners and Major League Baseball versus the players. And in this scenario, I don't mind saying that I fully side with the players union every time. The players seem to be out there looking out for, their fair share of revenue, looking out for protecting the integrity of the game of baseball, player safety, all that kind of stuff. All the important stuff that you'd want players to be concerned about. And then it seems like generally the argument on the owner's side or on the MLB's side is increased revenues, increased ticket sales, more entertainment is what they kind of claim it as. So they want more runs scored. They want shorter games. And so that's led to things like the pitch clock, which that can be a whole nother discussion about if that's causing this rash of Tommy John surgeries that we've seen. I won't get into that, but it always seems like Major League Baseball is looking to change the rules to basically line their own pockets, whereas the players are trying to keep things on par with what they are so that they can be compensated better or keep themselves more safe. That makes total sense. One of the things at the heart of this discussion, though, has been the rise of what's called Roboumps, or I think they call it ABS, automated balls and strikes. It's been a hotly contested thing. The MLB has wanted it for a long time. The players have fought against it, which I totally agree with. It shouldn't be a Roboump. My full stance is that automated balls and strikes should not be part of Major League Baseball. But I think what's happening, and I may be way out there, but my take on what's happening is the team owners, Major League Baseball, have created some backroom deal with the umpires this year, and they're being paid to call balls and strikes terribly. because it changes public sentiment. It makes people angry at umpires. It makes people kind of get on board with seeing that robo-umps are necessary, and it gets the public on their side rather than on the player's side. And they're pushing to get those as part of the game. They've been tested in the minors. I do like the option for pitchers to challenge balls and strikes, they tap their hat and they do a review. I think that's a totally valid use of automated balls and strikes. But having a robo-ump back there instead of a real umpire, I don't agree with. So if that's the case, if I'm right, I know it's a pretty far out there claim, but I've been talking about it with friends for a few weeks now, and I think it's more and more true the more time goes on. So if Major League Baseball, if you're conspiring with umpires to try to bring about robo-umps, shame on you. We can't have that. It's bad for the game of baseball. We don't want that. Nobody wants it, and you need to quit. Quit being stupid. So that's my take. Call me a conspiracy theorist. Call me crazy, whatever, but I honestly could see that being the case. Somebody's getting some money under the table to look bad on purpose. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm not. I don't know. The other thing that I want to talk about today is Jeopardy Masters. I've talked about Jeopardy Masters on here before. Everybody knows I'm a big Jeopardy fan. I'm a big game show trivia fan in general. But Jeopardy Masters Season 2 premiered this week. Saw the first episode. Some great returning folks. Obviously, James Holzhauer, Amy Schneider, Mattea Roach, Matt Amodio is back. But we've got some new people this time. Victoria Gross, who's the queen on The Chase. Those are my two shows, really. I mean, Jeopardy and The Chase. That's it. So getting Victoria over to Jeopardy is really cool. She won the Invitational. But yeah, super excited about this season of Jeopardy Masters. Can't wait. But specifically, what I want to talk about today is Ken Jennings. I saw a post on Reddit this week about people who are like unnaturally good at certain things. And it got me thinking. That post was in reference to athletes. And those are, there's a lot of them out there. People that really just changed the game. Jim Thorpe changed track and field back in the day with the pentathlon, decathlon. I mean, he was just a freakish athlete anyways, but Jim Thorpe changed the way that people had to train. Wayne Gretzky is just so much ridiculously better at hockey than everybody else. I mean, the stat about he's the fastest player to reach 1,000 points, and he's also the second fastest player to reach 1,000 points. That was him getting from 1,000 to 2,000. I mean, that's insane. The fact that you take out Wayne Gretzky's goals, if he never scored a goal in his entire career, he would still be the all-time points leader just on the assists that he had in his career. I mean, Wayne Gretzky is a phenom. You've got Michael Phelps in swimming. He's just so much better. And for that matter, Katie Ledecky is on the same, I would put her on the same level as Michael Phelps, of just so insanely better than everybody else out there. Alexander Carolyn in wrestling, for my wrestling nerds out there. It's just these people that totally change the face of the specific thing that they do. They found the one thing in life that they were specifically built to do. Michael Phelps was made to be a swimmer. His body, his work ethic, his commitment, like everything about him was made to be the world's best swimmer of all time. And that is what I would argue that Ken Jennings is for Jeopardy. Two wildly different use cases, obviously, between sport and between Jeopardy, but no less impressive, I would argue. Ken Jennings is insane. I mean, obviously James Holzhauer has come along and changed modern Jeopardy to be different in the most recent years. Amy Schneider had a very impressive run as well, winning, I think she won 40 games. But Ken Jennings' record and the things that he did to advance Jeopardy are just crazy. And it's further proof that I think Ken Jennings is, he was made to be on Jeopardy, which is so crazy. Longest winning streak of all time, 72 games. The most money won in a single season. He's up in the top 3, I think, as far as total lifetime earnings. James, set his own records as far as single game earnings because of the way that he plays. But Ken Jennings, I mean, they had to make a robot. IBM had to create Watson to compete with Ken in Jeopardy because he's that good. He's that perfect for it. Alex Trebek will always be the face of Jeopardy. Alex Trebek will always be Jeopardy. But Ken Jennings, I think, is the future of Jeopardy. I love him as a host. He was obviously incredible to watch as a competitor during his initial run, but also in his like invitational tournaments runs, Jeopardy tournament champions, all this kind of stuff that he's done since then. Ken Jennings was great on the chase as well. But now hosting, seeing Ken host Jeopardy Masters, it's just the best. So I just love seeing people who are at the top of their game, who have found the one specific thing that they were put on this earth, that God made them to be a Jeopardy champion. And that's so cool to me. I can see it. I love to see it. It's my one of my favorite things to see, like in my friends. I have friends who are musicians and performers, and when you see them on stage, you can just see that they're connecting with the very specific thing that they were put on this earth to do. Their unique talents on display. And that is so cool to me. And it's one of those things that I get to watch on my TV when I see Ken Jennings and Jeopardy. So super nerdy today talking about Jeopardy and baseball conspiracy theories, but I appreciate you joining me anyways. Thanks for being here. Friday Coffee Talks, episode 131. We have been talking over coffee on Friday. Enjoy a great cup this weekend. Thanks for joining me. I'll catch you next week.